I want to welcome you all back to the 7-Figure Climb. In this video, we're going to talk about the second and third sale. Essentially, we're going to talk about all of the sales after the first one, because all of the money is made on the second and third and fourth sale and so on. And the reason for that is because it's so expensive to get someone to buy from you. And so what you want to think about is if if it's costing you $500 to get a buyer, and it's costing you $500 in ad spend to bring in $1,000, what ultimately happens is you're getting 2x ROI on ad spend. You're spending $500, you're bringing in $1,000, but ultimately, if you spend, and I don't want to screw the math up here, but if you spend, you're going to spend $1 million to bring in $2 million, which you will net $1 million from. Then that's what the numbers would work if you're 2xing and if it's costing you $500. And so if it's costing you $500 to get a buyer, you're going to, how many of those do you need to make $1 million? You need 2,000 of those, and 500 times 2,000 is $1 million. And so ultimately, that's what everything's going to look like. But this is the thing. Once you sell them that first thing, all of your ad costs are sunk. You don't spend any more money to get them to buy anything else from you. And so the second and third and fourth sale are all technically 98, 99% profit, because all of the cost of getting the lead and getting the buyer has been spent. And so Sam Ovens started out with a consulting accelerator, and he made millions of dollars selling consulting accelerator. And that was a $997 course that I think later he may have raised the price to $997. But what's interesting is he made many, many, many more millions of dollars selling up-level consulting, which was a $6,500 or $7,500 offer. And he was making that to everyone who'd already spent the money to buy consulting accelerator. And a lot of those people moved up and they ascended. And so what you're wanting to think about, product curriculum. You're going to want to think about ascending people up in price, $997, $6,500 to $10,000, then 15,000 to 30,000, or whatever that process looks like for you. But what you want to think about here is simply, you got to understand that the money is in the second and third and fourth sale. And it's great if you can, spend $1 million on ads and you can sell, X amount of, you can make $500,000 from that. Then if you spend 2 million, you ultimately make the $1 million. But what's great about it is, and what you want to think about is that, if you're thinking about it in those terms, you're just leaving a lot of money on the table. And the reason I'm telling you this is because Sam Ovens created, up-level consulting, and he created, the up-level consulting, and he created the mastermind, and he created all of that pretty quickly. And he had those things in place. And what's interesting is, if you went through Consulting Accelerator, every single module was essentially trying to ascend you and telling you to apply to become a member of the next level and buying the next course. And that's what you want to think about. And so what you want to be doing is, if you're going to have a product curriculum, you want to be seeding the second product in your first product. And this is the thing. Even if you haven't done that yet, you can go back and add videos at different intervals into that product, or you can reshoot the last video in each module. And that last video, you can be selling them into the next thing. And I can tell you, he was doing it in a lot of the videos. And that's what you want to think about here. And so just to back out of this and just walk you through this again, and I can tell you, in a lot of cases, it will cost you $500 to get a $1,000 sale. Sometimes it might even cost more. But I want you to think about think about this. What if it cost you $1,000 to get a $1,000 sale? What if you spend $1 million to bring in $1 million, and then you sell them a second offer and you make 5 million on that second offer, and it's all mostly net for the most part. That's what you want to think about. And this is the other thing that you want to think about, because if you're thinking, well, if it's going to cost me, you know, so let's say it's, so you got 4x, 3x, 2x, whatever that number is. So if you're, if you're 3x, it's about costing you about $333 to get a buyer, a $1,000 buyer. So to scale to $1 million, you need to spend $333,000. And so if your question is, if you're saying you don't have 333,000 or you don't have $500,000, that's fine, because most people don't. And that's the reason I'm always talking about getting the snowball going downhill. That's always why I'm always talking about getting the runway to getting the thing off the ground. And that's the reason I'm always talking about reinvesting all of the revenue into future ads. And so what that looks like, if you're 2xing, even if you're just 2xing, you spend 5,000 and you bring in 10,000. The next month you spend 10,000 to bring in 20,000. The next month you spend 20,000 to bring in 40,000. And the next month you spend 40,000 to bring in 80,000. And you see how the snowball's picking up speed, and eventually that snowball's going downhill. And Sam Ovens just kept rolling all of the money into ad spend. And that's what you want to think about. The key is not going south, not taking money off the table, or taking very little. And this is the thing. I'm not against taking money off the table to pay debt down. I'm not against taking money off the table to pay off initial investors who got you going, right? But what I don't think you should be doing is taking money off the table to facilitate a lifestyle that's going to prevent growth, because the less money you take off the table, the quicker you can get the snowball going downhill. Well, let's look at the doubles. What does it look like if you're 2xing? 5,000 to make 10, 10,000 to make 20, that's month 2, 20,000 to make 40, that's month 3, 40,000 to make 80, that's month 4, 80 to make 160, that's month 5, 160 to make 320, that's month 6, 320 to make 640, that's month 7, 640 to make 1.2, that you're essentially 8 months from netting from bringing in the million. And then you're 8 months from bringing in the million, and then 9 months from netting the million, having the million net. I think Dan Henry, he was making way better on ad spend. I think he was getting 4x on ad spend, and I think it took him 5 months to hit the million, and then 6 months to be net $1 million after all of the ad spend was paid. And so what you want to think about is, getting that snowball going downhill, what that's all looking like. And then also the important part of it is, but knowing that the money's going to be made on the second and third and fourth selling, so you don't have to worry so much. And that's the reason you want those things in place, because and it's very, very interesting, because I'm constantly talking about this with a number of people who are really, really big in the space. And it's the reason I want to build a list of 1 million. I want to build an email list with 1 million people, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, 1 million people. If I get 1 million people on a list, I'm going to make millions and millions and millions of dollars, because I've got 80 courses that I've created. I've got a metric ton of other stuff that I can sell them. And then what I can do is survey them, find out what they want, and quickly create it, because I can create courses on the fly. And so that's what excites me about this. And so I'm very, very happy to make way, way, way less on the first product or on the front end, knowing that we can sell a coaching product, we can sell a mastermind, an inner circle, or something like that on the back end, and make a lot more money. And so that's what I want you to think about. So I appreciate you watching. If you haven't signed up yet, I've got the Manny Talavera Inner Circle. It is basically an online opportunity where you get a lot of free content, a lot of content from me, delivered monthly. You're going to be able to get quite a bit there. So if you want to look at the Manny Talavera Inner Circle, it's very, very inexpensive to join by the month. You can check that out in the comments. But I'll see you all on the other side, and thanks a lot.